over the span of your career, you have many different people who guide you, are important touch points. I can say in general, I've had good fortune of a lot of good coaches. There are two. One is Heinz Koppler, who was with me on the Canadian ski team, and I had a really tight relationship with him. We could communicate without talking. I know that in several of my wins, he was the guy who would be able to walk me through a section of a course that I might be having difficulty with. One story in particular is in Kitzbühel in 1980. I was having trouble with the Stahlheim, the steep wall, and he said, "Okay, we're going to walk. You show me what you have going through your mind, and then we'll walk back up, and then I'll point out where you need to make adjustments." So which we did. Came down for the last inspection and walked them through. We hiked back up, and then he gave me little pointers, and in particular one where he said, when you come and you dive into the Stahlheim, I want you to dive in, look for the fence, and go. Because I was turning a split second too late. And I can still remember vividly to this day where I came in, I did the dive, I saw the fence, and I went, and the feeling was, I nailed it. And then I almost made a mistake because I was reflecting elsewhere. But it was that kind of ability to be able to communicate, to pull the best out. The other coach I would mention, Mike Quigley, is well known in Western Canada and around the world for heli skiing, but he was one of my first coaches, and he emphasized downhill. It was always the downhill camp at Christmas time at Lake Louise, which we as young kids prepared the hill and everything, but that was a tremendous introduction to the skill set of learning the nuances of skiing, gliding, turning, all of the elements that I got at a very young age. And that stuck with me. And Mike, unfortunately, has passed away, but he was a lifelong friend and continued to support many other top athletes as well. The person that probably is most influential in our sport in Canada is without question Nancy Greene. Proved that we could be successful to a whole generation. Yes, we've had successful female racers in Canada for quite some time, but she won the World Cup. She won Olympic gold, silver medal as well. That moment of her, I was a very young, impressionable 12-year-old at the time. She was on top of the world. And even though it was a female, it didn't matter. It was a Canadian winning. And that said to the whole community, because at that time, people forget that Canadians were not actually that successful in international winter sport at that time. It was occasional. And she was a constant of coming in and proving to the world that she could be the best. And that left a huge impression on a generation. I do reflect back, number one, on our team, the Crazy Canucks, because it's so much a part of what made our team successful. The 4 or 5, 6 of us working closely together, making breakthroughs, because at that point in time, Canadian men had never been successful. And just the fact that of our bond together, how we worked together, how we shared information, and how we broke through. And then partly that comes up because I have the good fortune of my boys have been very actively involved in ski racing as well. And we're seeing that with my youngest son, Jeffrey, where they're kind of doing the same thing, having breakthrough, work together as a strong team, and how those same principles of teamwork, sharing of information, mutually supporting each other, endure. My wife Linda and I, we both come from ski racing families. So we have the, good fortune of the experience of having gone through the pathway, working up, becoming members of the Canadian skiing team. competing in Europe on the World Cup and higher level competitions. So when we introduced our boys to ski racing, the intention is always just to give them a lifelong skill,
Right.
and hopefully see where they can go. And it's been exciting, nerve-wracking. I have to say that the most common thing I actually see to people is how it's tough to be up at 1:30 a.m. throughout the winter. I still want to go skiing Saturday, that next morning.
Right.
But the fact that they've been able to take a love of skiing, and they all love to ski, that's most important for us. Our first successful year, I won the first race of the year. That was Canada's first win by a male skier in the World Cup. 2 weeks later, Dave Irwin won in Schleden. I won in Belgium, he won in Schleden. And then in the first race in the new season in early January, Dave was en route to winning and had some pretty spectacular moves. Didn't win the race, but and in around that time, it was Serge Lang, who's a Swiss journalist and founder of the World Cup, who loved to really promote his product. And he loved the fact that there was a new team that emerged to challenge the Austrians and Swiss and French and Italians. He loved the way we came at it, which was that we came full on, 100%, taking the risks. We felt we were just skiing like Franz Palmer, who was the #1 skier of the day. The Europeans, who had never seen Canadians emerge, thought we were skiing recklessly, and therefore he coined the phrase, "Well, you guys should ski like you're crazy, the Crazy Canucks." Being inducted into the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame is something that is really, truly special, because it comes a couple years after you've retired. If you're fortunate, it comes within 5 years. Sometimes it's a little longer, but it's after you've left your sport, you've had time to reflect on it, and so it's bringing back that a reflection of the community on what you've done to help lift the province, help lift the country. And it's important because we have to tell our stories. And this is what it is. We know day in, day out, we follow what goes on in sport. Canadians and Albertans are very enthusiastic followers of Olympics, World Championships, and professional sport. But it's different than the Stampeders taking on the Elks, or the Flames taking on Oilers, or the current ski team in the World Championships. It's a reflective moment of thinking back to what has this individual or this team brought to lifting Canadian sport and Alberta sport. And if we don't tell those stories, no one else will.